Welcome to the C&C Connection, an all-in-one podcast that touches upon a variety of topics ranging from sports to TV shows. Here are your hosts, the 9 experts on everything, Colin and Corey. All right, hey guys, welcome to the C&C Connection. No Colin tonight. He's busy getting situated in New York because he just moved away yesterday. I'm here with Joe Powell. We're here to discuss some Newsroom. Now, we haven't discussed the first couple episodes yet, so we're just going to catch up for a couple seconds and discuss the episodes number by number, I guess. So, Joe, how did you feel about episode 1?
Well, I liked it. I mean, it got me interested enough to watch, to keep watching it. It's, I like it. I think it's a little melodramatic at times.
Right.
But I think it was a good first episode, and the speech he made there that was pretty good.
Yeah, I have a comparison I like to make. I feel like you can summarize the show just by that opening speech almost. Because that speech the first half was really good. It was calling out, shots left and right, and we'll get to the message later. And I think it was powerful stuff. But then the second half, it just got a little over the top, a little campy and melodramatic, like you said. And I think that's what the whole show is like, pretty much. It has like a good message, powerful stuff. This is like an interesting subject matter. But then it's almost overshadowed at times by this over-dramatic kind of feel,
Yeah, and then when they get into the relationship between Jeff Daniels and that producer woman,
right? Yeah.
I kind of, my interest kind of fades there when that goes on. But
no, I agree 110%. I'm more into it because of the message, not so much the subplot, because every show has the subplots with the romanticism, and I guess you're going to have to throw it in there so you reach all the demographics and stuff. But at the same time, it's not very interesting to me, but I can deal with it because it's on every show.
Sure. But what I do like about it is just the goings on in the newsroom and things like that, and the politics. The politics on the network and things like that, and I like that.
Right. So episode 1 I really liked because it was pretty focused on the political aspect. All the subplots kind of took a back seat, I think. But then, episode 1 I thought I was really into it. I could really get on board with the show. But then episode 2 happened, and I really questioned myself. Like, am I going to keep watching this? I don't know if that was like that was for you.
That seemed to be the second episode seemed to be all about him and the relationship.
Right.
Between Jeff Daniels and I wish I knew. I can't remember that woman's name, but
her name's Mackenzie in the show.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I mean, I think in these early episodes they're trying to establish some things, and they're trying to give you a background.
Right.
And they use that episode, I think, to inform us of the history between these two people, and that they did have a relationship. And so, I mean, I guess that what I'm saying is a lot of these series, Game of Thrones included, it took a few episodes to get the background, to get the context of the story. And I'm hoping that's what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones, you can get away with it because there's like 20 different storylines going on, so you really need to ratchet it up. But this series, there's not nearly as many storylines, and that's what kind of concerns me. But yeah, episode 2. I wasn't really a fan of, but I decided, I'm going to keep it. I'll watch the first season at least and see how I like it. You never know, because you can never judge a show by the first couple episodes. Yeah,
and I also didn't like the scene where he's on the air and they can't get the good guest for the interview.
Right.
And it's about the oil spill that happened in the Gulf. And that's one thing I like about the show is they're current, relatively near history.
Yeah, it was only like 2 years ago.
Things that happened a few years ago.
Yeah, I think when he couldn't get the guest on, that was when he was talking about immigration into Arizona.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to get like an official from Arizona on. They couldn't get. Or I think they were supposed to get Jan Brewer.
Yep.
And it fell through. So they got, and I think it was just exaggerated. I think they got some real goofy.
That was a little over the top. I think you could have gotten away with one of them being over the top and crazy, but not all three of them. And I mean, no one would act like that in the air.
Right. And you could just clearly tell they're actors, and it's hard. It's hard to get that feel of an actual person that's not a celebrity who's just saying something off the top of their head. It was just, you're watching that and you're thinking, oh, there's an actor remembering lines, but anyway, maybe that's just me. But
no, I agree.
I thought that whole segment was just over the top, and
I thought it was over the top, but at the same time, it was entertaining. It was a good breath of fresh air, except with a breath of fresh air from the romanticism subplots that I really don't really care for. Maybe I will eventually, but just not at this point.
Right.
And then there was last night's episode, which you just watched and I watched earlier today, and I thought that was a step forward. And on the message boards I was reading, people, this is like their least favorite episode so far. Where do you stand?
I liked this episode more than the last one. The second one. I thought it was good. I liked. I guess I'm not sure where they're going with that blonde woman who's dating like the producer of the other show.
Right.
But I find her interesting, and she forgot her drugs and had a panic attack, and
right.
So that kind of subplot, I think I'm interested in.
Okay.
But there were other things going on. I thought it was just a better episode, and the power struggle going on with Jane Fonda there, and
that's Jane Fonda?
The politics of the network. Yeah, that was Jane Fonda.
Oh my! I knew she looked familiar. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now that makes sense. All right. That was bothering me. I don't know why I didn't look it up though.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, it definitely ended on almost a cliffhanger. You know, his job, or Will McAvoy, Jeff Daniels' job, might be in jeopardy. And I thought there was a lot more substance to this episode. There was a lot more going on.
Right.
Because
it just the whole Keith Olbermann at MSNBC. There was supposedly all kinds of fighting going on constantly with the higher ups at NBC, and so I think I think that made it interesting. Just I like to see what goes on in those boardrooms.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. One of the main criticisms of the show is the dialogue. Now, what do you think about it? Some people say it's not how people really talk, and it's over the top. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Aaron Sorkin is just like that. I think that was the same thing with The West Wing. I watched that show for like a season, maybe a season and a half.
Right.
And it's just a little too preachy. You know?
Yep.
And I don't think it's as bad in this, but I can definitely tell it's Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm willing to put up with that if it's a good show.
Yeah.
Know?
At times I really get into the dialogue, and it's like very like when he's doing when they're actually talking about substance matter and stuff, and they're actually trying to get points across, it's really interesting. But then there's like these points where they're just talking about nothing pretty much, and it's just like this quirky, over the top, like everyone's so clever and quirky kind of conversation, Yeah. That no one really talks happen like that. Yeah, it's almost like MASH.
Yeah. Everybody's got a punchline.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm for it in some parts, and then there's other parts where it just detracts, the realism away from the show, and I really like get out of it.
Right. Yeah, I
And,
agree.
and then there's another point I wanted to talk about was the politics in the show. Now, for the most part, I'm not a big politics guy. I follow it from like a very, very far away. I'm not really in
Yeah.
there, but I know what's going on for the most part.
Yeah.
At times, I feel like the politics is dumbed down a lot, but then there's other times where the politics is very heavy, and it's hard to follow.
I'm surprised. I guess not surprised, but it's going right after like the Tea Party crowd, and which I don't have a problem with, but it's doing what a real news channel wouldn't do, is just call them out and go after them, But and for the reasons that they're showing is, they there are sponsors that
Yeah, well, it's all
take offense.
hypocritical. They're saying we're for the people, but they're being pushed along by these sponsors that are funding their whole cause.
Yeah, I guess I was surprised by how political it is.
Yeah, it really goes all out almost.
Yeah, and it's taking sides.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sides that normally aren't taken as well,
Right. So,
I mean, I'm pretty sure like a lot of people don't know about this. The only reason I know about the stuff that's going on is because I'm a communications major in college, and they pretty much just shove that stuff down your throat,
Right.
It's all you hear about in college is when they show these movies and stuff. The professors are trying to like win you over. But if I wasn't a communications major, I don't think I would have ever really heard about a lot of this stuff. You really have to dig deep in some parts.
Sure.
Which I think it's important that it's portraying these messages too. I don't know, like, do you think these are good messages that they're portraying?
I do. Yeah, I mean, I sort of lean to the left politically, and I mean, I agree with all the opinions of the host of
Right.
Jeff Daniels' character. I mean, so for someone like me, it's interesting, and it's almost fun to watch this imaginary news guy go after like Tea Party guys, but I don't know. They must be making some enemies though, like Republicans and the right wing. I mean, they must not like the show at all.
Do you think the show takes a stance one way or the other?
I think it does. I think it's portraying the Tea Party as infiltrating the Republican Party and getting candidates elected that aren't interested in like governing. They just want to cut the budget.
Do you think it leans more Democratic or Republican?
I think it leans more liberal or Democratic.
Yeah, right. That's it. Okay, I agree. And I think that's almost a mistake. I think you want to like keep it as middle of the road as possible.
Right.
I think the main message of this show should be how corrupt the news is nowadays.
Right.
But I think they do. I think they're walking the line pretty well. They don't. I mean, it is leading more liberal. It's not by very much. Right.
But I think they might. I think in the future there'll probably be other events where they take another stand.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think
they might. Where they'll probably surprise us and take a different point of view.
Right. No, I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think it should matter on the topic more than anything else.
Right.
It's more about morality and stuff, humanity.
Yeah.
I think more than anything.
But like you said, what I like is them showing the kind of machinations that go on. I'm interested in how the news is produced and what goes on when a story breaks and the actual people that
the red, yellow, and orange or whatever code thing.
Right.
I didn't know any of that.
Like what goes on before it actually gets to the anchor guy being on the air and saying the words. Like who writes those words? How many people edit it? How many people get a say in what he's going to say? And Is it just one person? Is it, do they have to run it by all the executives? That's the stuff I'm interested in. So that part of the show really fascinates me.
Yeah, it's definitely like a show unlike any other almost. It really it's very unique. And that's kind of a staple of HBO programming, is that it has all these shows and none of them are really alike,
Right. And because they're not on a network, they can, it's a cable network, but they can swear and they can have adult situations, nudity.
Right.
It's a show like that just wouldn't be anywhere near as good on like NBC or something.
Right. I think, yeah, it definitely helps. You can get away with a lot more. I'm surprised there hasn't been any nudity at all. There hasn't really been any like sexual relations, actually, when you think about it. For the most part, the show just takes place in the newsroom, which I guess is the title implies. It hasn't really left the newsroom. Sometimes you see them walking down one of the Manhattan streets. I don't know Manhattan at all, but
occasionally they're in a bar
or in or Will McAvoy's or apartment. But other than that, it really doesn't travel very much.
Yeah, it's true.
This show must not cost a lot to make now that I think about it. Like, if you look at the budget for Game of Thrones and you look at the budget for this show, it has to be completely different.
Yeah, the only thing I would say that takes up a lot of money is this. There are a lot of, like, names in it. And
getting the licensing and rights and stuff to use all this footage.
Right, well, and not only that, but getting Jeff Daniels, getting the woman.
You mean Star
Power?
Who's
producer is a relatively famous actress.
Yeah, she's been in a couple movies.
And the guy who plays his boss, he used to be on Law and Order, I think.
Yep. He's a pretty funny character. I like him.
Yeah, he's good. And Jane Fonda, they're paying her.
Yeah. I don't know if she's going to be I think she's more of like a guest actress. She's not going to be on there all the time. Because that's the first time I think we've seen her. But again, it's only the third episode.
She'll probably just make occasional
appearances. Yeah, I think so. Going forward, are you excited? Are you indifferent? What do you think?
Well, I liked tonight's episode, or the one I watched tonight, and I think it's going in the right direction. It's hard to tell.
It definitely stepped it up tonight. I'm more excited. Like, today I was kind of indifferent watching it. Like, okay, well, I'll watch it, I guess. And now I'm definitely on board, I think, again for the next episode. I'm wondering if it's going to, because the whole, question of this show is, how can you make the news, the way they want it, but have it interesting at the same time for viewers. And I think that's I want to know if they're going to try to figure that out or not, because that's kind of a question that's plagued, the news, the journalism industry for the past, 15 years?
Right. Yeah, well, in the old days, with the big networks like CBS, NBC, ABC, the news departments never made money. That it was considered a public service.
Yeah.
And they didn't get a lot of viewers, and they didn't sell a lot of commercial time. It wasn't a money-making operation.
No,
the news department always lost money.
Yep.
But now it's all about entertainment and ratings, and so it's changed the whole business. It's changed the whole news business, and I think the idea of this show is they're trying to get back to. And he even mentions that in the last episode that I saw.
Yeah, the whole apology where he just basically calls out the journalism industry and just, calls out what they've been doing.
Right.
And I think that was another, that can ratchet up or rank up there with the first speech he gave about what's wrong with America. It really, that's the part I like in the show, when it just cuts all the bullshit and just gives you, the facts about what's going on. It doesn't sugarcoat it or anything. Those are my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah, and I like Jeff Daniels' character. He kind of toned it down in this last episode.
Yeah, in the last episode he was so corny, learning everyone's names and stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
It was a little too whimsical.
Yeah. But I think that's all the time we have here on a CNC Connection. Tune in. Maybe next week we'll do episode 4. We'll keep it shorter from now on. Just go some brief recaps. And stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you, Joe, for coming on tonight.
All right, take care.
All right, guys, this is the CNC Connection signing off.